I would like to introduce Leila, who is Enterprise Account Manager in Slack, and who will give you a Slack story. So please welcome Leila.
Hi, everyone. Ahoy, Praha. Um, Thank you so much for having us here today. Really excited, really wonderful to be here in Prague. So I'm Leila, and I actually joined Slack 3 months ago, because we're always growing, so it's actually, I'm gonna move here. And my role is to work with large companies in Central Eastern Europe to help them streamline communication with Slack. And one of our clients is actually kiwi.com, really cool company with a great culture. And I just want also to thank kiwi.com for organizing this event. Thank you, Jan, Jakub, Barbara. And thanks everyone for coming. So I know that most of you know Slack, which is amazing. So I'm gonna be preaching to the choir, hopefully. So what we're gonna talk about today. I actually have a question for you. Who here feels that your job or your business is stable right now? Okay, after some thought, about maybe 1/5 of the audience. Great, so I also don't feel like I know where I'm gonna be in 2 years. 2 years ago, I was in LinkedIn. I didn't really hear much about Slack. 2 years ago, Slack was a much smaller organization. Now we have about 1,200 people in the world, 100 people in Dublin, where I'm based, together with my colleague Radha, who will speak later. And so the hard news is that uncertainty is really difficult, yeah? But the good news is that in the times of uncertainty, that's when innovation comes. So what I wanted to talk about today is what is innovation as we in Slack understand it. I'll share some lessons that we learned in the last 4 years. Hopefully you'll have some takeaways from today. At least I hope you won't fall asleep. Actually, in my spare time, I also teach yoga. It's kind of like hobby and side business, which doesn't really bring much money yet. But I'm quite used to putting people to sleep. So. Okay, so. This way. Okay, I'll just press the buttons, thanks. So this quote actually is in all our offices around the world. And this is a quote by Benjamin Franklin, who was a brilliant innovator, of course, and inventor. He invented bifocals and swim fin and catheter. Some of the words I had to look up. But he was brilliant, and this worked for him, and hopefully it can work for all of us. And of course, here in the Czech Republic, we're also in the land of innovations, inventions, such things as the word robot and soft contact lenses, fingerprints, Kofola. So I really hope that we can all continue with this as we go on. So I'm going to talk about Slack as a product and as a company. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but just so we are on the same page, what we know about innovations and what lessons we learned so far. So 2003, it all begins with a computer game Never Ending. Our founder and CEO, by the way, who knows the founder of Slack? And actually, it's a little competition, and I have some swag. I have some Slack socks, notebooks, coasters. So who can name me the CEO of Slack? I'm going to give you a present. Okay, maybe it will come up again later. So actually, he's not really that famous. Like I just made up this question. His name is Stuart Butterfield, and he created this game in 2003 together with his ex-wife. The game never took off, but the photo sharing application from this game became famous. And you must know the application. Who can tell me what's the name of the photo sharing application? You're not allowed. Yes, it's Flickr. Okay. You get Slack socks.
I already have Slack socks, actually.
Me too. Okay, do you want a coaster? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so that was Flickr. It came out as like a side project of the game. And it was bought by Yahoo in 2005 for $35 million, which was like one of the mega acquisitions at the time. And Stuart Butterfield worked for 3 more years in Yahoo, building Flickr. Who used Flickr at the time? And who uses it now? Really? Wow. Amazing. I had it too, but so few people use it now. It just shows how much things change. Stuart left Flickr, and probably he didn't have to work anymore at all, but being as he is innovative and curious, he created another company actually, which was called TinySpec, with some of the people from Game Never Ending, and they created another game called Glitch. So except for Benze, who knows this game? Yeah, so it was like, there's a reason, because the game was actually very collaborative. So people were growing vegetables together and cooking together, and so like, not surprisingly, it didn't really take off. There wasn't any element of competition, but we can see that collaboration was really at the heart of what Stuart was doing. And Slack came out of the game again, so again it was something different, and it just pivoted and became Slack. In August 2013, the sign-up page was open, and 8,000 people signed up. By the end of the week, 16,000 people signed up. And now, who can guess how many users we have globally? No one wants socks, okay. You guys are not allowed to answer in this row. So we actually have like from 8 to 10 million users who are logging in at the same time. And what we realized is that, like, why Slack really took off like that, and if you see the graph of Slack adoption, it really goes up. And people just downloaded it for free, and they started upgrading. And we realized that there were 3 things why Slack was so popular. First thing is messaging. Messaging is everywhere. We use messaging for everything. We use WhatsApp, SMS message, whatever, Viber, Skype. We use it for like ordering something, for talking to, like, for buying something online. So it's really everywhere. When was the last time you sent an email to your friend? I don't know, like, I have one friend who still sends me emails about like a party, but it's weird anyway. But so we use messages everywhere, but not at work, where we spend a lot of time, like most of our time. And then software is eating the world. This article appeared in Wall Street Journal in 2011. It was written by Mark Anderson. He is the software entrepreneur and one of the Slack investors. And basically, he's saying that all the companies are becoming technology companies run by computers that run software. And now it's becoming even more true. Everything we do is managed by software. To come here, you had to register through Eventbrite. We had to buy our tickets through our internal system. Every step we take at work is managed by software. So on average, a company of 1,000 people has from 500 to 1,000 applications running. So that's a lot. But still, people are central to the work. It's people who are doing all the work. Companies spend 40 to 50% of their income on salaries, another 20% on different benefits and programs, offices. Because it's people who are hiring other people, people who are making decisions, being productive, managing projects. And yet, we don't have tools for people to be productive. So people are central to organizations, and collaboration is central to what people do. Everything, every project we do with other people. But the problem is that we don't have the tools to do the work. With some people, we work on emails, with some on phones, on Skype, on WhatsApp, and on Slack. as well. So in the end, what happens is that some clients say it's an expensive game of telephone. You know, simple questions like, what is the status of the project? Or where is the latest report? Oh, this is not the latest version, where's the updated version? They take time, and it's frustrating. So that takes away from people's efficiency, and also it's not pleasant. And when we don't give people the tools to collaborate, they go back to emails, because email is the most common lowest denominator. But as you see here, email fails to scale. That's what happens when 14 people are involved in the email chain. And also, like, have you seen my inbox? No. Have I seen your inbox? No, I haven't. So we all have our own inboxes with different information about projects. So we're not synchronized. And then we're surprised, why do we have different views on the project? Well, that's where Slack comes in. Slack is a collaboration hub where people work together, where work gets done. We have, you know, channels for different teams, locations, projects, and it's organized taking into account how people actually work. So if you use emails and you come back from holidays, you have like 500 emails in your mailbox, and you have to go through them one by one chronologically, and half a day you're like, oh, should I respond to this email or not? Did someone else do that? It's really stressful. In Slack, you know, you open Slack and you go to most urgent things. You go to projects where that you work on. So it actually helps you to organize your work better. Channels and direct messages. This is the most known feature maybe of Slack. You can have public channels for announcements. You can have private channels. And everything is indexed, and you can search everything, so it eventually becomes your knowledge database. So who here uses like Slack with integrations? Okay, cool, really cool. So you know very well then that what Slack allows is to manage workflows with different integrations and just to make everything much faster. And finally, if we need to jump on a call, we can do it really quickly in Slack and have a quick call on how the project is going. So you know that really well. This is really great to be here because you know Slack well. So as we're all on the same page, we'll go to the next slide. So this worked really well for us, these three elements: messaging, the software, and the people that are central to the organizations. And now we have around 10 million people that use Slack every week. People spend 2 hours, 25 minutes in Slack every day. We have some really large customers like IBM with 150,000 users. Oracle, for example. Also, the adoption was really quick, like 30,000 users in 6 weeks. But we also have small clients like family businesses that deliver flowers, and they also use Slack. At the moment, 65 of Fortune 100 customers are on Slack, and 56% of our clients are actually outside of the US. So that's why we're growing internationally really fast. So now we move on to actually what we learned about innovation. Based on what we learned and on industry research, 3 predictors of success in times of uncertainty are growth mindset, curiosity to build broad repertoire, and empathy for customers. So what do we mean by growth mindset? I'm sure many of you are familiar. So that's a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, and she has a great book, Growth Mindset. Has anyone read the book? Cool, yeah, I recommend everyone to read it. It's a really interesting view on learning. So growth mindset tells you that basically there's unlimited resources and there's always learning, as opposed to fixed mindset, which tells you that there's fixed resources, there's competition, you have to compete for them, and you have to avoid failure at all costs. And a really good example that I have from my own life is when I was young, I wasn't, like at some point I lost interest in math, and I just was told that I'm not good in math, and I just grew up thinking that I'm not good in math. But actually, like, I can become better. I won't maybe win Nobel Prize, but if I study math, I can really become better in math. Same with cycling. Actually, I started cycling a couple of years ago. I cycle to work now, but I never cycled as a child. So the good thing to deal with is, like, when you have a statement and you add yet at the end. So I'm not good at math yet. So that becomes a much better growth mindset statement. Curiosity to build broad repertoire. So we think that having 80 to 90% knowledge in few different fields is better than having 100% knowledge in one field, because innovation, it basically, it goes from one field to another. You build networks if you have expertise in few fields, and you can also bring something that works in one field to another field. And the third thing is empathy for customers. So this is also beyond data, beyond analytics. This is really feeling like what the customers are feeling and trying to build products that are great for clients. So this is something that Slack does really well. Raise your hand if you had experience with Slack customer support. Really, so few, wow, okay. Well, I don't hope you have any issues, but if you do and you'll communicate with our support, you'll see it's a really big team in Slack, and they are trained, and they're really nice people. I've never seen such nice people in support. They're really empathetic, and Slack is also built in a way that the language is talking directly to people. It's very humanized. So we have a channel on Twitter handle Slack Love, where clients just express their love to us. I think it's just because we are so empathetic. And then top 3 barriers to successful innovation. What we see is the need for big ideas, obsession with analytics, and growth gridlock. So the need for big ideas, we often think that to innovate, we have to come up with something huge and new and that didn't exist before. Obsession with analytics, we want to really have a use case before we implement something. Growth gridlock, well, in a growing company, there's so many competing priorities that innovation really goes last. There's many other core initiatives that have to be implemented. But you know what? Big ideas mean big risks and big failures if it doesn't work. Analytics usually tells us about the past because it's based on data from the past. And also it implies that future is certain and stable, which it isn't. If we want to go for disruption, we have to take some risks. And then in the growth gridlock, it's hard for a company to come, to terms with that they have to be innovative. And then we go back to thinking, okay, this is the way things are done here in this company. So what are the lessons that we learned so far? So change is hard, but as Bill Gates said, we often think about short term, but we underestimate the long-term view. But if we start every day with some changes that are taking us towards the goal, then we will be surprised how in a few years, how far we can get. And also, change favors the prepared mind. That means if you're going towards, actively seeking opportunities to innovate, to learn something, when the opportunity comes, you will see it. You can apply, as I was saying, apply the existing ideas to new fields. Like Airbnb, for example, started with just someone renting their bed in, in their apartment for a conference. It didn't start huge, and it grew really fast. So, it all starts with the habits. It's kind of like what we think is bringing this change mindset and growth mindset into a habit, and everyday thinking what I can do differently today. Where is the opportunity here? So, sorry. So just kind of to give you maybe some ideas as well. 3 new settings for innovation. So instead of need for big ideas, do like fast ideas and something that can be implemented within 2 weeks. Kind of having 2 week sprint and see if it works or not. Instead of obsessing with analytics, try to implement a learning and sharing culture in the company so people really share the information with each other. And then when there is a growth gridlock, so when your company or your business has different other priorities, be the internal disruptor and take other volunteer resources with you to make some changes. So with that, I leave you with this message, and I hope you'll go out in the world with this quote. And finally, I wanted to let you know that if you want more of Slack, if you want to meet our technology leaders and other companies that use Slack and really just talk about the innovations in collaboration, you're more than welcome to visit our conference, to attend our conference in London on the 13th and 14th of November. So yeah, just Google that, sign up directly, or you can find me on LinkedIn and just let me know if you want to come, because then I will be I'll seek you out there and we'll have a chat. But also tonight, just feel free to ask me any questions. I don't know, Jan, do we do questions or do we do them after? Oh, okay. All right, so do you have any questions? Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
When you showed us the slide about the numbers, I was missing the slide about how many percent of users are the paying ones. So
yeah, this is. Yeah, sorry. So the question was how many users are paying ones. I actually wouldn't be able to tell you right now. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I'll have to check that. But yeah, that's okay. Let's go back to the slide. There was a data about companies. So yeah, 65 out of 100 Fortune paid customers. Yeah, I have to get back to you on that. Yeah.
Slack sort of promised to get rid of email, right? Mandatory email. So now everybody's using Slack or similar software, and we get dozens and dozens of notifications and messages a day. Is that something that you're dealing with, that you're trying to solve, to get overload of information and instant sort of a expectation to reply instantly?
Yeah, so the question was how do we deal with the number of notifications that it's overwhelming? Yeah, it's a good question. It comes up actually quite often. There are ways to deal with it, and Slack, even though it's instant, and yeah, it's expected that the answer would be instant as opposed to email, it's still a work application, and so we do have some guidelines how to use that. For example, snoozing notifications outside of working hours. You're not expected to respond outside of working hours. Having certain channels and limitations on how many channels you can have. And then we have a Slack bot, for example, that says that I wasn't active in some channels, so maybe I should just leave them so that I don't have all that noise. With emails also, we just recently bought a company called Astro, and we will be building email integration, so we can just answer emails from Slack, possibly. But yeah, it's just that I think it's about helping users to manage that and managing yourself. I mean, we see it in all areas, right? With smartphones, it's like a constantly buzz of notifications from everywhere. It's just how to properly manage that. Do you have any ideas about that?
Can you give us a story of how Slack acquired its first enterprise customer? Because Slack was known to be among startups first.
Yeah.
So how do you actually acquire one of the big ones? Like, I don't know who it was, but would you have a story? And also in terms of the second question is I've heard, I think, on the Wall Street Journal Tech News that Slack is planning to IPO next year. And those are my two questions.
Okay. Great. So first question, how did we acquire first enterprise clients? Well, actually we didn't do it like on purpose. We really, like our CEO really had the vision of Slack just being like a tool which people download themselves, and if they like it, they pay, and it's just for small team collaboration. And then IBM started using Slack. And so we're like, okay, so maybe we have to do something for them because they have such a big such a big number of employees. Actually, we have now a version called Enterprise Grid, which is like enterprise level Slack. It has like, you can have unlimited number of workspaces and collaboration between workspaces. That actually came up by request from IBM. And we're constantly listening to our clients, so we're creating new tools that respond to their needs. So we have now like several different options from like really small business to large enterprise clients. But it's a constant challenge for us, and maybe Ratha will speak about it later, how to support these large clients, how to have them, you know, how to provide reliability when we have so many users signing in at the same time. But it's an interesting challenge. Regarding the second question about going public, yeah, there are different news about that, but we don't know. I can't confirm to you anything. Well, thank you so much, and maybe we'll have some time after presentations. If you want to chat or ask questions, just let me know and come to me, okay? Thank you.